Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. As you know, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, I'm a big fan of 4K, and I think all cameras now coming out should have 4K in them. I'm hoping Canon catches up in that regard, and most other manufacturers are on board with that. We're seeing more and more options coming available for 6K now, and soon it'll be 8K, and I think it's just, there's enough advantage to shooting 4K. In fact, we have a viewer comment here which basically sums it up very nicely, similar to what I've said in the past, but a great summary on why they like 4K and why 4K is useful. This is VZ Beats. He says 4K is useful not just for rendering or displaying in 4K for those that don't have 4K. From an editor's creative point of view, 4K is very great to squeeze into a 1080 timeline when editing and cropping zooming on post. Pictures or video, it's always a plus when you're able to crop out someone or something in your frame without losing sharpness. And this is a huge point right there that I've made before, is that you don't need to appreciate 4K. You don't need to use it as 4K to appreciate it. And if you're working with 4K, you're able to crop and zoom and do a lot of versatile editing that you couldn't have done with the 1080 because you'd lose the sharpness and the resolution. Whereas with a 4K on the 1080 timeline, you can do all of that with no loss of quality. Actually, when you export a 4K file to 1080, it tends to be almost always sharper and better. If you watch a 4K file on a 1080 TV or 1080 screen, it tends to be sharper and better. These are all very significant reasons to shoot 4K and to want to have it as an option. Now, TechFan, another viewer, had written in. This is a different comment on a different video, but that actually VZ Beats had replied to. TechFan says, I don't know why many people care about 4K in DSLRs, as Full HD is great and most people don't have 4K displays and their smartphones can take 4K videos. DSLRs are designed for photography while video cams for videography. Canon makes its cameras both suitable for video and photo. Some other brands focus on photography as Nikon or videography as Panasonic. If you use the 4K of Nikons, I think you'll be a bit disappointed as their AF is slow and not accurate, while Canon takes better video with faster AF and better colors. Yes, it doesn't have the same impressive image quality as Nikon, but they can take great pics and videos. Don't worry that much about 4K on the Canon 90D. So this comment was specifically on, I was discussing the Canon 90D, and VZ Beats replied, TechFan, 4K has more dynamic range and very useful when squeezing it into a 1080 timeline and cropping on post-production. So similar to what he was saying in the beginning there. Cropping into a 1080 clip looks like a bit like 720. But in 4K, you don't lose sharpness, but you're right, not everyone has 4K, but as an editor, it is always great to have better reach. So, what I've been saying all along, if you're heavily into video here, there are very good advantages. You don't even have to be heavily in. You're just going to get a lot of advantages with 4K. Caveat is you are going to need a fairly capable computer to deal with it. And then Ceres Photography Productions says, yes, hallelujah for 4K. I'm a filmmaker, and I need both a pro photo camera for my bread and butter and a good 4K camera for my filmmaking passion. 4K is definitely good. So another vote for 4K. And, basically, 4K is not necessary for people that don't shoot video. Although, I guess I shouldn't say that as a blanket statement, because the huge advantage of 4K when we're talking about 4K and photo is the ability to extract stills. That it's very nice to be able to extract stills out of your video and have a nice image. And sometimes you'll get shots you never would have got because you have so many frames per second ruling there. So just some further clarification on 4K, what the advantages are aside from just watching it as a 4K video, and why it's better for 1080. What do you guys think? Are you coming around to it? Are most of you now, like, even if you don't want to shoot 4K, you want to see your camera have 4K? Or is it still not a big deal for you? Let me know in the comments below. Let's flush it out a bit. Still, I think a little bit of a hotbed, but it's becoming more and more the norm. So, but interested to hear what you guys have to say. Thanks for your feedback, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com.